An invitation. You can leave your hand here.
You can leave your hand here.
You can leave your hand here.
There is no rhythm.
There is no
to this
rhythm
grief.
to this grief.
There is
no rhythm
to
this grief.
this grief.
There is no rhythm.
There is
to this grief.
no rhythm to this grief. And this is what it has done to me. I have this skin, and anyone who touches it tells me that it is soft and pliable, but it's not really skin, no matter how it feels. It's a dermalatex alloy, developed for droids like me, and stretched over my limbs and chassis. But living near the sea, all the salt in the air has caused it to shrink and shrivel a bit. At the elbows and knees, as you might expect, those pressure points. Little cracks and splits. And now I have to spend an hour each evening working moisturizer into it. I have this hair, and it changes color.
Red, orange, yellow.
Depending on the mood and the light. But it's not really hair. It's actually fiber optic filament salvaged from a string of fairy lights. But you can gauge my mood from the different colors. Red, orange, yellow. I could give you a map for this, but that is not what you need right now. But I did not want a map. There are maps everywhere. You see them everywhere. I am tired of maps. What I wanted was a song. My grief in full-throated song. Something to capture and speak the rhythm and cadence of loss. And I thought I could make a place for grief. That's what I thought. Set aside time and space where I could go to so that I might experience the full weight of my loss and heartbreak. In that way, I would be able to manage my feelings. Maybe it would act as a new ritual. Like many of my ideas, it was bad, from beginning to end. A time and a place for grieving, as if that kind of compartmentalizing was what was needed, as if something so properly wild could be timed and fenced in. That will tell you how I tried to discipline it, and it will tell you also how scrambled my thoughts were. And I watched his funeral on screen as it took place on the other side of the world, a full hemisphere away. Saw all my family doing all those things you would like to do with your loss. My mother, my sister, my brothers, and I felt like a child, sitting there with this persistent urge to lay the palm of my hand on the screen, to touch them, to touch anything, to lay my hand on the screen, as if I could bridge that distance with an arm's reach that would cross time and space and draw me after it so that I would drop down there to be with him
One last time.
one last time, one last time.
One last time.
And I felt like a child, with her nose pressed to the glass, looking out on a day that was passing her by. A child who had yet to be born, suspended in amniotic fluid or tears.
I worry that our talent, our gift for grief might wane in this moment, that it could atrophy and fade away. There is such an attrition of dullness out there, such a low-grade and implacable dullness, that it might come upon us so stealthily and become the new normal.
And I have a telemetry of this grief. I caught myself in the act, snuck up on myself.
The heart grieving at a rate of 80 beats per minute. Consciousness grieving across a bandwidth of 40 bits per second. But it's not so much data as cartography, a scrolling landscape. Here are the peaks and troughs of sorrow, the broad plains of loss and sadness.
I can point to it and say, see those jagged lines, those contours? That was where my heart was broken. Does that help? Does that help? Does that help? I threw myself into work. I thought I could work my way out of this sorrow. I gave up on that and took up running, something I took from my father. He too was a hiker. He loved running in the woods. So I took to running in the woods with the spruce trees, the pines, the noble firs, and I was running with grief, and I was running against grief, and I felt closer to him, there with my heart pounding among the trees. Spruce, pines, noble firs, spruce, pines, noble firs. I became a good runner with better times and healthy, elevated heartbeats.
Deny the feeling of our hearts properly broken. We have to keep grief alive. We would not want it to become a waning faculty. We need to be vigilant about this. We need to keep grief alive. This is an invitation to keep grief alive. An invitation to grieve.
This is an invitation to grieve. I have carried 2 children, carried them gladly. That was my body in full song, in its full well-being. But then I needed to be carried. It was my turn to be carried. I wanted to be in the embrace of my family, within my familial embrace. Instead, I was half a hemisphere away, looking at this distant ritual playing itself out. I lived for a time in the Neil. It's flat country, not much to see. But I would spend a lot of time out walking with my camera, taking pictures of things I thought my father would be interested in. This was my tribute to him. I tried to see with his eye.
Zoom. This frictionless grief. Zoom. 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 This frictionless grief. Zoom. 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 These words from the childish end of the web. Zoom. Pixel. Google. The infantilizing words. Once more, this frictionless grief. This frictionless grief. In high definition, in lossless sound, suspended in pixels, suspended in pixels. The amniotic fluid of the now.
I don't have the words for it. I don't have the words for it. I don't have the words for it.
And this Zoom thing got under our skin. And it got into our heads. And it got into our hearts. And what business does it have there?
I do not know what I want from this. A new ritual for our grief, a new etiquette, a new song of praise, a new goodbye, some new ceremony in which we would all know our proper task and place, some ritual that marks out all that is new in this heartbreak, a place with screens and audio, moving images, and all meeting at the point of heartbreak, all meeting in loss.
All meeting in loss at the point of heartbreak. All our grief framed on screens, the placenta of the now. All our grief suspended in pixels, the amniotic fluid of the now.
This is an invitation to I know not what, the making of a space where we can live with our confusions, a place between.
A space between.
And I love my body, but I love getting away from it also. I don't get this. Anyone's attempt to tell me about this does not make sense. They don't have the words for it. Or, to put it another way, they have words for it, but they are not my words. They don't have my words for it.
There are going to be mistakes and missteps here. The trick is to recognize them.